Hi, Katie. Thanks very much for joining us. It's a really exciting time because we are announcing the League One Canada Women's Inter-Provincial Championship for this year. Obviously, it's a competition that you know quite well, given that you won the competition last year. So, firstly, talk us through that experience. Take us back to summer 2023, that experience, and what this competition means to you.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Thanks for having me. Interprovincial last year was kind of the end of an amazing season for our group. So lots of amazing memories. I think it was the pinnacle of the season that we had. The fact that we're able to bring all of the best teams or all of the top teams that win their divisions across Canada and come in all at the same place at the same time and have a great competition. It was an incredible experience for our group last year, being a younger group as the National Development Center and having young players get excited about competing for a national championship, competing for a Canadian title. It was really something special.
Brilliant. And as well as silverware and a title, what kind of opportunity does this competition bring for your team and for teams that are competing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of eyes on the competition last year. It's not only a league tournament, but it's a national tournament. So getting all the best players in one place and getting eyes from, whether it's youth national programs, whether it's universities, it provides players a real opportunity to get seen, for next opportunities within their career. So I think, for our kids, it was just a really exciting time for them to showcase what they can do and be seen on a more national stage, and really start to think about what's next and what next steps are and what their dreams are within the game.
Brilliant. And obviously the reaction in the camp from last year, how did the girls find the experience? And I imagine they were buzzing after winning, but how has that kind of manifested itself over the next few months and into the winter and perhaps providing extra motivation for this year? Has there still been talk about this competition amongst the team?
Yeah, everybody was buzzing. I think the celebration afterwards, you can see a lot of the pictures of the kids and the faces and the way that they were holding themselves. I think it was incredible moment for them. I think going into the next season and going into the next year, it was one of those things like we celebrated and then now we're moving on to the next thing and focusing on what's next in front of us. So taking the next steps one step at a time. It was interesting to see, though, the players come back in September after the championship in August and just be so excited about getting started again and getting moving again. I don't think I've ever seen a group more motivated and more ready to continue to take steps forward and progress their careers after an experience like that.
Brilliant. And in your career, where did that achievement rank?
It was up there for sure. It was an amazing experience for me. I think as a head coach, being in that environment, having a little bit more pressure, having to make those decisions, in a big moment was really cool. I have an incredible staff, so it absolutely was not, just me. I think we have a really, really great staff behind the team, and being able to do that together. And to top off the year that we had, across the board with the national championship, was an amazing feat for sure.
You've been announced as a team that will compete in the Concacaf W Champions Cup. How did that kind of conversation come about, and what was it like down the corridors and perhaps in your camp that the reaction to first hearing about your involvement in this competition?
Yeah, when we started to hear rumors of it, I think there was this level of like anticipation, but also level of excitement. It was one of those things that we didn't necessarily expect it to come around. You started to hear little chats about it. You started to hear rumors about it, and then as it started to become a reality, definitely from a staff perspective, obviously we had a little bit more insight before the players started to find out about it. It was something that we're like, man, like this is the first Canadian team to go, the first opportunity for us to be able to compete, on an international stage and showcase what our players can do. and what an incredible opportunity from a women's perspective in bringing the game forward within our World Conference. I think it was so exciting for our staff to see, as a lot of women working in the game that haven't necessarily been able to look up to something like that in our careers and when we were players, and then going into coaching, and now it's it's there, and it's an opportunity. Once we told the players, they were all like, what are we doing? Where are we going? How's it happening? They're so excited about the opportunity to test themselves against a different type of opponent, test themselves on more of an international stage, and against players that are playing in pro environments, day in and day out, within, different parts of our side of the world.
So, yeah, you've mentioned there, obviously, the girls were asking how's it all going to work? Well, I think for the people that are uneducated, talk us through how that is going to work, and perhaps how you're going to prepare, and from your side of things, what the competition will bring. Obviously, the preliminary round and things that and opportunities that and challenges that you're going to face as well. So talk us through those types of things for the people that perhaps haven't heard of this news before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, looking ahead to El Salvador, that would be our first game in August. So it's a whole different space. They have a different type of development program. They have, different ways of looking at the game and building the game. So a lot of our players, unless they've been in youth national teams, may not have been to a country like El Salvador or Dominican or Costa Rica or any of those countries in Concacaf that are maybe a little bit different than what we do here, what the U.S. does. So different experiences for our players, going up against different types of players, women and players of different age groups. It'll be a great challenge, I think. For us, we just actually spent about a week in Denmark before the season started. So as our preseason trip, we went to Denmark and we played a couple pro clubs over there. And so the experience of our players, getting those reps against professional clubs where, tactically, they may just be that next level. Technically, players, have been developed within a pro system and continue to grow within the game, especially on the women's side. It was very, very interesting and a great experience for our players to see kind of what to expect at that next level. We're not in the youth game anymore. We're not in, pro amateur game anymore. Like now we're playing players that are, playing for their contracts and being paid to play, and clubs that are really investing in the women's game. So I think, for us, it's a really exciting time to be tested at that next level. But it is definitely a different type of competition where you're going to win, and you're playing against, clubs from different countries that are also playing to win.
And you mentioned there, that you're going to go up against players that do have contracts, but there's that opportunity for Whitecaps players as well to go, I'm going to want to compete for these contracts as well, because if they put in a good shift, a good performance, who knows who's going to be watching, right?
Absolutely. A lot of our young kids right now are looking forward to those pro contracts. The women's game shifting, you always used to be everybody goes to university and then everybody potentially then tries to get contracts from there. I think there is a shift where players are still going to go to university, but there's other players that are looking to be pros right away. And I think for our kids, it is an incredible experience to go and be tested at that level. And it just opened their eyes to the possibilities. We've got a lot of players in our program who, if they had grown up in any other country, may already be pros, right? And I think that was something we saw in Denmark was, we have players that are good enough and they're ready and could be fighting for those types of contracts. So it is definitely an interesting opportunity for them. I think, also looking ahead, it's perfect timing in terms of year with 2025 coming, a lot of buzz around Project 8 and the potential of those teams starting. And I think for our players, it's just very eye-opening to be like, we have so many opportunities now as young women playing in this game, and it's an exciting time for them.
And you mentioned 2025 then, but there's other things coming even before that will take the eye. The Olympics for a start. Then there's underage World Cups, U20, U17, all these things and I know some of your players have had that youth national team experience. But how does representing Canada, representing the country in this new CONCACAF competition as a club, what experience could that provide that would then help players in that national who are aspiring to get into that national team setup? How would that kind of correlate and help them in that environment?
It absolutely correlates. You know, the experience of players in youth national teams traveling to different countries, you know, you're traveling, you're changing time zones, you're changing weather, you know, altitude, all those things, and then you're going and playing international level players. It absolutely correlates in getting that experience. I think the addition of the yearly U17 championships, World Cup, sorry, for the youth national team, it continues to add to that experience for our young players that get into that environment. And then on a bigger stage for us as Whitecaps going into, you know, a CONCACAF as the Canadian club, I think just representing the country with pride and doing our best to represent, you know, not just ourselves as a club and putting our best foot forward, but the country in the first opportunity for us to really be in this type of competition.
And of course, you've mentioned even there's eyes on the Inter-Provincial Championship, but there'll also be eyes on Olympics, also be eyes on the CONCACAF competition, also be eyes on the underage World Cups, or the age group World Cups, sorry. So those are, from a Canadian soccer perspective as a whole, really cool opportunities to really, from outsiders looking in, just to be involved in the sport that's growing in this country. What are your thoughts on all that, and perhaps the opportunity that is being provided to be more on a global stage?
Absolutely. I think, you know, this year or next couple years is an opportunity for Canada Soccer to grab a hold of. I think it is going to provide so many eyes looking into the Canadian women's game. So it's, you know, not just from a senior level, the youth level, now the professional level or potential professional level. You know, our club going into the CONCACAF Championship, the amount of eyes now coming into the Canadian women's game, you know, looking even ahead to the Men's World Cup coming to Canada. The next couple years, there's going to be so many eyes coming here, which one, I mean, is going to create opportunity in terms of fan base. It's going to grow. I think the buzz around Canadian soccer is going to continue to increase. I think people are excited about having, you know, things here, having more opportunity to see our players compete on an international level, having new opportunities to see our players compete on an international level. So that all of those things combined is really providing Canada an opportunity to take steps forward to be a real world power, I think, on the women's side and on the men's side, and really get those eyes supporting the game and being excited about the game. So I think, you know, for me this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for Canada Soccer to really like grab a hold of it. We've got all these eyes, we've got all this support, we've got all this excitement. Let's continue to push the game forward and really, for me, selfishly and for our program, like let's get the women's game going, let's get the professional league going, let's really get, you know, investment and excitement around that. And, you know, I think it'll just continue to boom as we get that excitement into something tangible.
Fantastic. And from a more localized perspective, you had a really good start in League One BC so far this season. What kind of opportunity does this present for fans to get involved in the women's soccer?
I think League One as a whole is such a great opportunity for fans because most games are, you know, not too much to get into, you know, $5, $10 to get into. You're getting a great game. There's tons of really, really talented players that have gone on to incredible things. You know, one of our kids, Geneva Hernandez-Gray, she got called into a senior national camp when Christine Sinclair's retirement was coming up. She was in that camp. So like really, really exciting players playing on the grass in front of you. So for young players around, you know, this city, this province, for people that, you know, are just sports lovers, the biggest thing is just to watch and support. And if you're gonna, you know, support us, support Unity, support TSS, like go and watch the games, because these players can really showcase an incredible level of soccer in this province and in this country. I think, you know, for our group, I mentioned it already, but the excitement after last year, I think, has just pushed them to the next level. Like, this group of players is ready for what's next. It's ready for the professional game to be here. It's ready for more international opportunities, and they're showcasing that day in and day out in the games that they're playing. So I think it's some of the best soccer that you'll see in this province right now, and I think it's such a great opportunity from a fan perspective to go out and see the future of the game. It's you are likely to see some of these players playing pro on TV one day, and why not see them in your local town playing against players that you grew up with or looked up to in your club, and really, like, see them here before they move on to bigger and better things.